Welcome to another episode of Football Scientific with me, Aaron Sauter. I'm a writer for the UFL News Hub and the CFL News Hub. I cover the San Antonio Brahmas of the UFL, the Hamilton Tiger-Cats of the CFL, the Indoor Football League, the IFL, the NAL, the National Arena League, and the European League of Football, the ELF. And on Football Scientific, we also cover all the ins and outs of the NFL and their off-season going into their season. It should be a great time for everyone as we get ready to keep progressing into a busy week of football. This weekend was kind of slow. We did have some IFL games, had some NAL games, had some UFL games. We're going to go through those games first, but then we're going to go into some NFL stuff there at the end and some CFL stuff too. CFL stuff is about to get ramped up. Draft is at the end of the month, so along with the NFL, their draft is coming up too. So, joining me is my co-host Wolfie D. What up, I am Wolfie D in the house. Woo woo oh, woo woo oh. All right, Wolfie D, it's good to have you. Let's get through some of this news. Okay, sounds good. Woo woo oh. Okay, so first, going into the UFL weekend, we had a 2-2 record of our predictions last week. Hoping to do a lot better, and we did a lot better. We went 4-0 this week. I think it's a 6-2 for the season. That's huge. The only downer of that is that I had picked against the San Antonio Brahmas. That's the team I cover, and it's also my favorite team in the UFL. I had picked against them, saying the St. Louis Battlehawks would beat them. I thought the Brahmas would look better though on offense, with another week under their belt. Usually the biggest improvements for UFL teams, really all football teams, are from game 1 to game 2. But that wasn't enough for the Brahmas against the St. Louis Battlehawks. St. Louis Battlehawks won 26-9. Quarterback Manny Wilkins went 12 for 16, 162 yards. Still no touchdowns thrown, no interceptions, but a QBR at 106.8. He's able to just manage the game. He had 9 runs for 58 yards. He's able to just manage the game and keep the chains moving because people like running back Jacob Sailors ran 11 runs for 46 yards and 3 touchdowns. So when you can run the ball, you keep ahead of the chains, and it makes it easy for the quarterback just to pick up first downs, and that's how St. Louis Battlehawks win. Next, wide receiver Gary Jennings Jr. had 1 catch, 58 yards. That was the biggest play for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Defensively, they dominated. They had 4 sacks against Kellermond. They had 4 tackles. That was 4 tackles for loss, and they had 1 interception, and that's costly for the Brahmas. Brahmas are still seeing offensive woes, especially because their offensive line is very bad right now. Quarterback Kellermond under pressure the whole game. Went 13 for 27 for 129 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He has a dazzling QBR, that's sarcasm, of 46.7. He ran the ball 3 times for 19 yards. That's, his best thing, I guess, is picking up 3 yards as a running back. Not good for Kellermond. He's supposed to be a pocket passer. Not good for A.J. Smith's offense so far, and they're so boring to watch. Last year, they were wide open. Even in the games they didn't play that well, they were wide open, but now they're just so dreadfully boring to watch. It almost feels like, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but it feels like the Brahmas are taking a dive. Boom. So St. Louis Battlehawks and DC Defenders can battle it out for the XFL Conference Championship, giving us St. Louis Battlehawks versus the Birmingham Stallions. Last year, I had a conspiracy theory that they were going to have the Battlehawks and Stallions play in the UFL Championship game in St. Louis. This year, they had yet to name where the game's going to be. I bet it's going to be in St. Louis. It's going to be a Battlehawks and Stallions. That's just from my point of view right now. It makes good business sense. The best team in the spring versus the best fan base in the UFL. Play in St. Louis where they have the most fans. And that's a pretty sensible idea for a league. It's not fun that it feels like it's fixed a little bit. I'm not going to say that out loud. That's the quiet part. You're not supposed to say that out loud. But it does feel that way. It feels like the Brahmas are so bad right now. They can't possibly go from being as good as they were last year to being so bad right now. Something is up. Well, it feels like something is up. It feels like the Battlehawks are getting this thing handed to them to try and save the league. Running back Anthony McFarland ran for 6 carries, 55 yards. That's really good, almost 10 yards per carry. Running back Jayshon Corbin, 10 runs for 38 yards, 1 touchdown. That's with the O-line not playing very well. Those running backs are really good. They should probably run the ball more, honestly. Run the ball more, stay in front of the chains, make it easier for Kellermond. A.J. Smith has this run and shoot / air raid offense that he's combined is known for, but it's just not popping right now. The passing game's not popping. Wide receiver Jacob Harris had 3 catches, 69 yards. That's your top receiver, 3 catches, 69 yards. That's not good. Wide receiver Jonte Kirkland had a better week this week. He had 4 catches for 43 yards. So he improved a little bit. They got him into the game plan better. Last year, they ran a bunch of trick plays through him, and it gave him a chance to really have a bigger impact on the game. Defensively, a little bit of improvement. The Browns had 1 sack and 8 tackles for a loss, which is a lot of getting in the backfield, making plays. But it wasn't enough. You're going to need to get some offensive production, okay? So defense may be getting a little better, which is good, especially on the D-line, getting more in the backfield and making plays and getting behind the chains. But they still need the offense to pick it up quite a bit. All right, so that is that. Like I said, we went 4-0 last week. We're 6-2 for our UFL predictions. That is a league you can bet on DraftKings. I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying you could. And 4-0 is pretty good. With that, that was the final game of the UFL week 2. If you don't remember, we had the Birmingham Stallions beat the Michigan Panthers. We had the DC Defenders beat the Memphis Showboats in a really close game. We had the Houston Roughnecks take an L to the Arlington Renegades in another really close game. And then we had the Brahmas take the L against the Battlehawks in a not-so-close game. So with that, I've redone my power rankings. I've seen several other people's power rankings today. Mine are similar. I don't think I'm far off. It's a little bit different. First, my number 1 team, after beating the Brahmas, they won 2 games by a large amount, by more than 2 touchdowns. So I got the Battlehawks as number 1. I didn't have them number 1 last week because they beat the Houston Roughnecks, and it's just hard to get a feel. It felt like it wasn't the best win of the week, but they're only team to really win by 2 blowouts so far. So Battlehawks are number 1. Number 2, I got the DC Defenders. They have the best defense in the league. DC Defenders, by far the best defense in the league. Their offense is not great. That is their biggest weakness. It may get better. They play the Battlehawks this week, so we'll see if their defensive strength can carry them to a win against the Battlehawks. Battlehawks are more well-balanced, which is why I have them at number 1. DC has a much stronger defense than offense, which is why they're at number 2. Arlington Renegades really laid a big egg against the Houston Roughnecks. I thought their running game was awesome against the Brahmas, and it was. But I think the Houston Roughnecks did a good job on defense of taking away the run game. They really contained the run game and forced them to beat them to the air. And while Luis Perez did enough to win the game, he didn't really have a great game. He never really has a great game. He's not a great quarterback. He's just average. He's average. He's a game manager. The running game's popping. He looks really good. The running game's not popping. He's serviceable. He's not horrible. The Birmingham Stallions are number 4, 1-1. They predictably beat the Michigan Panthers. They're 6-0 against the Panthers. They're calling that a rivalry. Yeah, a rivalry between a hammer and a nail. Birmingham Stallions keep beating the Michigan Panthers. That's not a rivalry. Number 5, Michigan Panthers. They're 1-1. They were 1-0. They got beat by the Stallions. They're number 5. Those are the top 2 teams in the USFL conference. So number 6, Memphis Showboats showed a lot of improvement. Against DC. DC's offense is not going to light the scoreboard up, but their defense is crazy. But they did protect their quarterback more than I've ever seen them protect their quarterback before. They did get a little running game going. So Showboats are maybe on the way up. They're 0-2, but they're number 6. Number 7, Houston Roughnecks looked a lot better. Their defense looked a lot better from week 1 to week 2. DC Defenders, Arlington Renegades, they're one-dimensional. Unlike the St. Louis Battlehawks, they're one-dimensional. Their quarterback situation is not as good as the St. Louis Battlehawks, no matter what anyone says. Their running game's not as good. Houston Roughnecks, though, came out with a defensive game plan that was rock solid. Their offense let them down. They had a chance to win that game, and Anthony Brown just couldn't do it. And Nolan Henderson, everyone's calling for him to be the starter now, but he is 0 for 3. I don't know. That doesn't impress me. I'd say Houston Roughnecks are still a dumpster fire. And speaking of dumpster fires, number 8 is, unfortunately, last place, San Antonio Brahmas. They just don't look like they're trying to compete. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm just saying, how can they go from being the best team in the XFL conference to being the absolute worst team when they really only changed a few players? They changed their quarterback. They changed their offensive line. It's supposed to be better, but it's definitely not better. They changed their defensive line. That's bad right now. DBs are supposed to be a strength. So that defensive line, offensive line is killing them. The quarterback was not an upgrade. I heard the name Chase Garbers get thrown around, even though he took a dive in the championship game. He might be better than Kellen Mond. He was better last year. So that's my top 8, my UFL power rankings. Should be pretty good. We'll see what happens next week. We have some big matchups. Like I said, DC plays St. Louis. That's going to be a big game. Arlington plays Birmingham Stallions. That's going to be a big game. Those are the top teams. Some of the top teams in the power rankings going to fight each other. So we're going to see what's going to happen there. Yesterday was a huge day of IFL games. Mental note, this week in IFL, if you remember, first week of IFL, we went 1-2. Sad face. Okay. And then the next week, we went, I believe, 3-2. It's better. We showed improvement and got to 5-4 for the season. But then this week, 5 games being played, we went 4-1. Okay, that's ascending. We're ascending in our data analysis. Whoop, whoop. We're getting better, man. We're really understanding the league. Yeah, we're getting better. We're moving our way up, 4-1, and that puts us at 9-5 for the season, which is starting to look a lot better. So that's good. Not as good as the UFL, but it's getting along. It's a volatile league, so it's hard to keep up with everything that happens, and it just takes a few mistakes in the game to blow up in a team's face. Yesterday, probably the most exciting game was Arizona Rattlers at Green Bay. It looked like most of that game, Green Bay was going to win the game. The Rattlers hung around. Green Bay kept scoring points and kept had an 11-point lead really in the second half of the fourth quarter, and it looked like the Rattlers may take an L there, which would have been a huge upset. In my mind, the Rattlers are a superior team to the Blizzard, but Rattlers came through at the end. They scored a touchdown. They closed it up a little bit. They closed it down to 3 points. They onside kick it. They don't get the onside kick back, but then the Green Bay Blizzard cannot pick up first downs. And the Rattlers had all their timeouts, so they forced them into a 4th down. I would have kicked the field goal, made a 6-point game. It wouldn't have mattered because the Rattlers scored a winning touchdown. But at least you would have gave them a chance that made them fight. They went for a 4th down and got stuffed. And then it came down to a 4th down and long, like 4th and 25 for the Rattlers. And Dalton Snead ran around. They completed a very wild pass downfield that went for 30 yards for a first down, and they turned that into a touchdown the next play. Kind of caught the Green Bay Blizzard secondary staring at Dalton Snead, probably wondering how they got a first down, and then he threw a touchdown to win the game. Boom. And then the Green Bay Blizzard tried to challenge that and get that reversed, but, they were trying whatever. Defensively, okay, so some stats there in that game. Dalton Snead was 20 for 32, 269 yards passing. That's a great day. 6 touchdowns. That's a great day of football. He had 7 runs for 1 yard. He took a 17-yard loss on a sack. That's bad. That was in the fourth quarter. That was right before they scored the winning touchdown, oddly enough. Running back Ron Brown Jr. for the Rattlers had 7 runs for 53 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Isaiah Houston had 5 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Johan Tyler, he had 3 catches, 25 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamal Miles, he's a running back, but he had 4 catches for 34 yards for 2 touchdowns, and he had 4 runs for 18 yards. And they had 2 sacks against Green Bay. On the Green Bay side, it was 51-47, so it was a close game, and it really came down to a couple possessions. The Rattlers had to put some magic on it to win the game. Quarterback Max Myler, not as good as Dalton Snead, 10 for 19, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 7 runs for 3 yards. He could not really take control of the game, but his tools around him did a pretty good job. It was a good team effort. They had a running back, had 11 runs, 60 yards for 2 touchdowns. Zane Lewis had 3 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. They had a rushing touchdown, 5 yards. It was a good team effort. They had 2 tackles for loss. So, a lot of things came out even. That was a very close game, too. And it was on the road, so that's tough for Arizona to win on the road, especially at Green Bay. The crowd's crazy there. So it's a good win for Arizona. And they're still top, in my mind, they're still the top team in IFL. Until someone knocks them off consistently. Another game that I expected to be a really score-fest game, really exciting game, was the Vegas Nighthawks traveling to Jacksonville Sharks. I predicted at the beginning of the season, before the season started, that would be our IFL National Championship game, and it still might be. But the Jacksonville Sharks defense took over, and they won the game 36-19. It was 27-19 at halftime, I believe. So the second half, Jacksonville Sharks defense just took control and shut down the Vegas Nighthawks. The weakness of the Vegas Nighthawks is everything goes through Jerome Johnson. And I've been saying if you can contain Jerome Johnson and send a backer to spy on him and still cover his people, you're going to win that game. And that's what Jacksonville did. They came out and did that. They played great defense. They won 36-19. Jerome Johnson had 10 completions for 17 yards, 10 completions on 17 attempts for 94 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That interception is costly. He has 7 runs for 44 yards. They really held him in check. Running back Antonio Winbush for the Nighthawks had 11 runs, 19 yards. Definitely held the running game in check for Jacksonville. That's huge. Wide receiver Quentin Randolph had 6 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown. You would think when shutting down a running game, they're going to get some plays over the top, but not really. Jerome Johnson is not that great of a deep ball thrower. He's more of a dump guy as he runs around. If you contain him, you limit his effectivity. Is that a word? Effectivity? I don't know. Is that a word, Wolfie? Effectivity? I don't think so. How about effectiveness? Yes, effectiveness. Okay. The Vegas Nighthawks defense had 5.5 tackles for loss and 2 quarterback sacks, but Caleb Barker and Jimmy Robinson overcame that. Caleb Barker, despite the pressure, was 10 for 15 passing, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had 9 runs for 30 yards and 2 touchdowns, so 4 touchdowns for Caleb Barker. Running back Jimmy Robinson really only had 10 runs for 55 yards, no touchdowns on the ground, but he had a key touchdown, 1 catch for 16 yards for a touchdown that was big at the end of that first half. That really took control of the game. It was a 2-point game, and then he got that. And Jacksonville had control of the game at halftime, and they never relinquished control. Wide receiver K-Ron actually had 5 catches for 61 yards, 1 touchdown. Defensively, the Sharks were not amazing. 3.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 interception. They just found a way to shut down Jerome Johnson. And that's the problem of having all your offense go through one person. Boop. E.J. Hilliard had that same problem with the Quad City Steamrollers a couple years ago. E.J. Hilliard, his first year, he could just go out there and run around and throw a couple passes and hold it down. He got him to the IFL National Championship game. But the next year, everyone knew how to defend him. Very similar to Jerome Johnson last year's breakout year. And then the next year, they contained him and sent him back to the blitz, forced him to throw. And they made him throw for the pocket, and he just couldn't do it. And he's out of the league. That he got exposed. Okay, San Diego Strike Force. They traveled to the Bay Area Panthers. They had a really close game last week with a team. I forget the team. I don't remember. But coming in, San Diego Strike Force, they have a good chance to win the game. I think they'd have a good chance to win the game, but they didn't really play that well. The Bay Area Panthers, San Diego Strike Force is also a one-dimensional team on offense, but instead of just the running game, it's all about their passing game. Nate Davis is their main guy. Because the Bay Area Panthers can game plan that, they can send some pressure, but they can also play back in coverage. He went 11 for 26, so only completed 11 out of 26 passes for 105 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Their running back, Larry McCameron, had 7 runs for 29 yards, 2 catches for 27 yards. Just isn't enough. Their defense did play well. They had 5.5 tackles for loss and 4 sacks on quarterback Josh Jones, but their offense just couldn't get it going. Their defense did put up a good fight. It ended up being 41-18 Bay Area. The defense did put up a good fight, but the offense could not do their part. And that puts San Diego at 0-2. Quarterback for the Bay Area Panthers looked better than I had seen him look. He played last year for Northern Arizona Wranglers. He looked better than I've ever seen him play, honestly. He's getting some confidence, I think, with the Bay Area Panthers. He went 18 for 29, passing 142 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 13 runs, 53 yards, and 1 touchdown. He might be kind of getting into the game plan. Running back Joshua, I believe Towns, 7 rushes, 21 yards, 1 touchdown. Punched him when they needed to. Wide receiver R.C. McCorker, senior, he used to be a big play guy for the San Diego Strike Force. Now he's with the Bay Area Panthers. 3 runs, 11 yards for a touchdown, but 6 catches for 36 yards touchdown. Not huge numbers, but enough to get the win. Wide receiver Tyrese Chambers had 6 catches, 68 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, they had 3.5 tackles for loss and 1 interception. And 1 interception really opens the door for taking the lead. Okay, so then we have our IFL Week 4 power rankings. So with the outcomes, some things have shifted around quite a bit. So number 1, I got the Arizona Rattlers at 2-0, still number 1. They almost lost Green Bay, but they didn't. They won a hard-fought road game. Jacksonville Sharks are locked in at number 2. Had Arizona lost to Green Bay, Jacksonville would be number 1, but they are right there. Jacksonville Sharks looked really good. Number 3 are one of our big movers, Quad City Steamwheelers, are now, they're 3-0, and they're at number 3. They're the only 3-0 team in the league, so I think they're proving themselves being pretty well. Daquan Neal's doing a really good job leading that offense. A huge mover is the Fisher's Freight. I really thought they were going to struggle against the Tulsa Oilers. Instead, they came out and won 40-29. They're showing something, and they got their fans got the fan base of the week for the IFL because they had 5,679 people. I've told you, if they have a good team, they're going to get a lot of people from Indiana. Indiana people love football. They love fast-paced indoor football. But if your team loses, they stop showing up. Very similar to the Colts. They love the Colts, but if the Colts start losing, they quit showing up. Okay, they complain a lot. But if you start winning, they come back. So Fishers just need to keep winning, I guess, and they're at number 4 now. So they're up near the top. They played the Massachusetts Pirates this week, or 0-2. But it might be a tough win. You have to go to Massachusetts. Tough place to play. Number 5, Bay Area Panthers have moved back up to the top 5. They're at 1-1. Big win against San Diego. Number 6, Vegas Nighthawks have dropped to number 6. They were number 4, I believe, last week. They dropped. They got beat, significantly got beat by the Jacksonville Sharks. Number 7, it was on the road. It's tough to go cross-country from Vegas to Jacksonville. Number 7, Tulsa Oilers are 1-1. I did not expect them to lose to the Fisher's Freight. That drops them. San Antonio Gunslingers are number 8. They're 1-1. They didn't play this week. We'll see if they get back to the next week. They have a big game coming up. They have to play the Arizona Rattlers. So if they win that, they're probably going to be a big mover. If they don't win that, they might fall out of the top 8. Top 8 would be your playoff teams for the most part, okay? Number 9, Green Bay Blizzard, 1-2. Could have went 2-1. Could have had a huge win against Arizona. Came up short, 1-2. Now they're at 9. That would have been a huge move. Number 10, I got Northern Arizona Wranglers. No one agrees that the Wranglers are that good. They lost to the Fisher's Freight. I don't know how I feel about them, but I don't know how I feel about the last few teams here because I haven't seen a lot of them play. As far as the NAL, it's hard to get a feel for a team when they play every once in a while. They'll pick it up. In IFL, they'll pick it up. That's going to take a minute. So Northern Arizona Wranglers, I get them at 10, 0-1. They look decent. I don't know. They're going to play this week against Tucson. I looked at those games, but I haven't broken them down yet. Number 11, Massachusetts Pirates are 0-2, and they've lost at home twice. That's bad for them. If they lose to the Fisher's Freight, they may drop a little further. They're near the bottom right now, though, so we'll see. They might lose to the Fisher's Freight, honestly. Number 12, San Diego Strike Force are 0-2. They've had 2 close games. They had a chance to win. Vegas Nighthawks, so they played the first week. They had a chance to win both games, but they couldn't get over it. They had much less chance to win against the Bay Area Panthers. Early on, they were fighting, but then they kind of lost control of the game. Number 13, Iowa Barnstormers. Barnstormers are improved, but they can't do enough to get any wins. They turn the ball over too much. 5 interceptions against Quad City Steamwheelers. They're 0-2. Number 14, you can't be an air raid team in the IFL. You can't. It's not going to work. Number 14, Tucson Sugar Skulls are still 0-1. They lost to the Rattlers 56-28 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen enough data points to move them anywhere. They're at last place. Boop. Okay, NFL. There's a ton of NFL news. So first, off-season workouts. The voluntary off-season workouts have started for the New England Patriots, New York Jets, Chicago Bears. They start tomorrow for the Las Vegas Raiders, Jacksonville Jaguars. The teams that have new head coaches are allowed to start 2 weeks early in front of the other teams. So that's a big advantage. New York Giants, Ed Rusher, Abdul Carter had breakfast with Giants head coach Brian Dable, and it looks like he'll visit the Giants on Thursday. He expects to be a top 3 pick. Giants had number 3 pick. If Travis Hunter goes to Cleveland, I can see Abdul Carter going to the Giants. Not saying it's the right call, but I think it's going to happen probably. Former Miami Dolphins wide receiver, former New England Patriots wide receiver, but Dolphins wide receiver coach Wes Welker has joined Cliff Kingsbury at one of his former teammates at Texas Tech with the Washington Commanders to be their wide receiver coach. That brings them guys back together from back in their college days. Them guys, that's not proper English. Cleveland Browns expect wide receiver, kick returner Travis Hunter to be their number 2 pick. That's what it sounds like now that they're going with Travis Hunter. He's the best bang for the buck. They're not, even though they really have one quarterback that's active to play, Kenny Pickett. I think picking quarterback right now is a bad call for the Cleveland Browns. But they might do it. They might do it. Shadur Sanders. If they pick Shadur Sanders, then Travis Hunter's definitely going to the Giants. Until now, the same. LA Rams. The Kroenke organization is building a Rams like compound. Okay, it's called Rams Village. It's 52 acres. It's going to have the permanent headquarters and offices and training facility for the LA Rams. They're officially going to be in LA full time. Boom. It's also going to have residential neighborhoods. It's going to have retail offices. It's going to have all retail stuff. It's going to have stores, entertainment venues. We're going to pimp it out. It's going to have a lot of stuff to do for players and for just people living there. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars. One time, I remember it was a McDonald's movie, and so we're not a burger restaurant. We're a real estate restaurant. And I think that's what the Rams owner is too. Kroenke's all about the real estate, you know? So he's just looking to develop the real estate so he can sell it later. Including the Rams, probably. Jacksonville Jaguars exercise a 5th-year option on defensive end Trayvon Walker. That's a good move by them. He's an effective player. Ohio State wide receiver Amibu Ibuku is getting some interest from the Green Bay Packers and Cowboys. He's going to go visit the Packers. Carolina Panthers signed 6'9". Okay, this is a weird move. Carolina Panthers signed 6'9" former basketball player Colin Grange to play tight end. He has no football experience. So we're going to see if it works out. Occasionally, someone can get into the league with no football experience because they like their body type. They like that he's tall, okay? But does that translate into wins? No. They'll probably get cut in training camp, honestly. But I see people trying this stuff all the time. University of Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo visited the Texans today. He's visiting the Browns on Tuesday and the New York Giants on Wednesday. Ohio State offensive tackle Josh Simmons is visiting the Packers today, and Tuesday he'll visit the Ravens. South Carolina defensive tackle T.J. Sanders is going to visit the Texans. He visited them today. Tuesday he's visiting the Cardinals, and he's going to visit the. He's also visited the Titans, Eagles, and Packers. So these guys are making their visits, trying to get out there and get to know people. Rumor I heard: New York Jets running back Breece Hall is trying to look for a trade. He's probably going to be a number 3 back for the New York Jets. He wants to be a starter somewhere. I wouldn't want to play for the Jets. Trade me. All right. More draft visits. Arizona Cardinals have scheduled a visit with Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolan. Atlanta Falcons have re-signed cornerback D. Alford for 1 year. Baltimore Ravens, William and Mary, offensive tackle Charles Grant is scheduled to visit the Ravens. UCLA linebacker Carson Schlesinger, he's taking one of his top 30 visits to Baltimore on Monday. That was today. Buffalo Bills, East Carolina cornerback Siobhan Rebel Jr. He tore his ACL last year. He's coming back. He says his agent says he'll be back by draft day, ready to go and be able to participate in all the workouts. Buffalo Bills are thinking about him. He's visiting the Buffalo Bills this week. Carolina Panthers, Ole Miss, defensive tackle Walter Nolan's going to visit the Panthers. Louisville safety Quincy Riley is going to go on a top 30 visit to Carolina. Okay. Boop. Chicago Bears are making moves on their offensive line, defensive line still. So they came to terms with 5 players today. Offensive line Bill Murray, not the one from Caddyshack. They signed exclusive rights deal or tender with Bill Murray. 3 defensive linemen, Jonathan Ford, Daniel Hardy, and Chris Williams. Ford and Hardy signed exclusive rights contracts, but Chris Williams re-signed with the defensive line. And defensive back Amir Speed signed exclusive rights tender. They're doing the right thing. They're building the O-line, building the D-line, building the secondary. They got a quarterback. Could they win? They could win. We'll see what happens. I've been critical of them in the past, but they do have what you need to get things done if these linemen work out. Cincinnati Bengals, William Mary offensive tackle Charles Grant's going to come visit the Bengals. Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Knowles going to come visit the Bengals on Monday. Cleveland Browns are hosting LSU tight end Mason Taylor to visit the Browns, and tight end Blake Whiteheart has signed an exclusive rights deal. So we'll see if the Browns are looking at tight ends maybe later in the draft. They signed a tight end though. Dallas Cowboys, Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Knowles going to go visit them. Then the Broncos, tight end Lucas Krull signed an exclusive rights tender to be with the Broncos. Green Bay Packers signed defensive end Aaron Mosley, signed an exclusive rights deal. Oklahoma State offensive tackle Dalton Cooper is going to do a visit with the Packers. Okay, a lot of draft visits right now. Indianapolis Colts, Oklahoma State offensive tackle Dalton Cooper is going to visit the Colts. East Carolina cornerback Sean Rebel with the knee thing is going to go visit the Colts, and they're doing a medical check on the knee. So he says he's good. The Colts are going to check it. Kansas City Chiefs, Missouri quarterback Brady Cook is going to visit. Florida quarterback Graham Mertz is going to visit. Oklahoma State Dalton Cooper is going to visit. The team's basically just having a lot of people visit. Yeah, that's good. Las Vegas Raiders, Geno Smith finally signed his contract extension. That's going to be a huge deal for him. Offensive guard Jordan Mordet, he signed exclusive rights tender. Defensive tackle Matthew Butler, exclusive rights tender. Defensive end Charles Snowden, exclusive rights tender. Linebacker Kana Maga, exclusive rights tender. They cut cornerback Jack Jones. And then quarterback Quinn Ewers from Texas is going to visit the Raiders this week. And running back Ashton Genty is going to take one of his top 30 visits at the Las Vegas Raiders. Not the LA Raiders. Long decade. Okay, LA Chargers, LSU tight end Mason Taylor is going to go visit them on April 3rd. That's last week. Miami Dolphins tight end Mason Taylor is going to visit the Miami Dolphins. The LSU tight end. I may have said he's Miami Dolphins already, but he's LSU tight end Mason Taylor. He's going to visit the Dolphins. He's the son of Hall of Fame defensive end for Miami, Jason Taylor, so maybe that's the inside leg. He probably wants to take a look at Miami and kind of step into the footsteps of his dad, you know. Minnesota Vikings, they cut cornerback Nahshon Wright. The Georgia tight end Ben Urasek is making his top 30 visit in Minnesota this week, on Monday. He did it today. East Carolina cornerback is he's going to visit them. So Shavon Rebel is going to visit them as well. New England Patriots, Florida State defensive tackle Joshua Farmer is making his top 30 visit to New England Patriots. Patriots also had defensive tackle Christian Barone perform in a workout for them. He had blood clots last year, blood clot issues. He's working out with a voluntary program this year, trying to have a better season. New York Giants are going to have Joshua Farmer visit them on Tuesday. Top 30 visit. Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman Calvin Anderson has signed a 2-year contract, and Florida State defensive tackle Joshua Farmer is going to visit the Pittsburgh Steelers on his top 30 visit. San Francisco 49ers, Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolan is going to visit is scheduled to visit to the San Francisco 49ers. They're all working the grid here. Seattle Seahawks cornerback Shaquille Griffin has visited the Seattle Seahawks, and Mason Taylor is going to visit them too. Okay. Last NFL note, Tennessee Titans, Ohio State offensive lineman Donovan Jackson and William McMurray offensive tackle Charles Grant are going to visit Tennessee Titans. Notre Dame safety Xavier Watts is going to make his top 30 visit with Tennessee Titans. Okay. Next, NAL. So some moves went down to NAL. Omaha Beef. I don't really know what they're trying to do. They fired their head coach and offensive coordinator. They're playing the Beaumont Renegades, which could be the biggest game of the week, maybe the biggest game of the year in the NAL so far. Beaumont Renegades are a mystery. Omaha Beef are going to be a mystery. It should be a pretty exciting game, honestly. Omaha Beef signed wide receiver Brentley Allen, who was released by the Carolina Cobras late last week. They also released quarterback Bryce Holiday and released running back Josh Baptiste. I can see them making more moves this week because, they fired a coach. They're trying to get whoever the new coach is, get their team together. Shreveport Rougarou signed defensive back Mustafa Majid. They definitely need that. They released defensive back Levante Hall, who pooped the bed against the Idaho Horsemen. And they placed wide receiver Eric Thomas Jr. on a 14-day IR, so he's out. Their passing isn't all that anyway. Boom. In the ELF, the Cologne Centurions signed German offensive lineman Martin Glombitza. He had established himself in the German Football League at the Bonn Gamecocks and the Mosel Valley something or others. So he's a local guy. He's in Germany. That's good for them. Stuttgart Surge. Defensive back Raheem Siriam Wilson is returning for 2025. He's a good player for the Surge. Frankfurt Galaxy are going back to their NFL Europe traditions, and they're going back to their logo with the orange and purple rather than just purple. Their uniforms will look really plain the last couple of years. In the ELF, when I started watching the European League of Football, I started seeing it has boring uniforms. The Frankfurt Galaxy used to have some of the best uniforms in the league, and they did in the NFL Europe. I guess they're going back to that, which is good. That should get more fans at the game and stuff. They have cool stuff. Okay. CFL, Edmonton Elks signed American defensive back Braxton Clark. He played at South Florida. They signed American defensive back Kalen Barnes. He played at Baylor. They signed American wide receiver Cooper Hutton, who played at UC Davis. So Edmonton Elks are still living up on talent. Winnipeg Blue Bombers have signed American offensive lineman Matt Kickle. He played at Aurora University in Illinois, Division III. Saskatchewan Roughriders signed global punter Bailey Flint, who spent time in the Tiger Cats previously, but ran into some issues with the Tiger Cats. Got suspended, never really bounced back. Hamilton Ticats signed American defensive lineman Trammell Walthar. He's from Hinesville, Georgia, just down the road here. 6'3", 273 pounds. He played his college football at Georgia from 2019 to 2023. He played 51 games, 28 solo tackles, 21 assists, 2.0 quarterback sacks. For a D-end, that's not great numbers on the sacks. He's more of a run stopper. But I mean, the Tiger Cats will get what they get. You got to get what you get. They need defensive linemen, and it's good to get another defensive lineman. He spent time with the Baltimore Ravens last year in the NFL season, and he started his college career at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas. So he should be a good addition to him. The Tiger Cats, he should be in the mix in camp, and we'll see if he makes the team or not. That's the biggest thing he needs to do is make the team. So that's it for the news. Today, with Football Scientific, it was a lot of NFL stuff, especially draft visits. So it's probably kind of boring. Tomorrow I'll have double football workouts after school's over. So I'll have I teach chemistry, so whatever. We have a football workout for the team I coach, Grace Baptist in Chattanooga, and then I have a workout with a very small player, the 7-year-old. And then I'll be back to have dinner and make a video. It'll probably be a short video. We'll see how it goes. Once again, this week, we'll do predictions for the NAL on Wednesday night because they play a Thursday game again. Everyone else's predictions will be on Thursday. Everyone starts on Friday then. So it should be a good time had by all. We'll see what news happens tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on Football Scientific. Thanks for joining us. Shreveport Rougarou, defensive back. Yes, Shreveport Rougarou making moves. Probably getting better. If you want to read some articles, CFL News Hub has CFL articles, Canadian Football League. UFL News Hub has UFL articles. You can get some breakdowns and power players of the week and power rankings and stuff. Quarterback rankings, things of that nature. There's a lot of good content on there. That will also include some IFL news. I'm not sure. I'm usually an IFL writer. I just don't feel like it right now. I don't have time. And I have time to speak about them on the Football Scientific, but not enough time to write about it. It takes a lot of research to cover IFL. And the ELS kind of in the same boat. In season, I may pick them up. We'll see. It's summertime. I got more time in my hands in the summertime. If you enjoyed the video, like it, and then subscribe to the channel. The more we subscribe to the channel, the more we'll get more people on the algorithm, and it'll be easier to get distribution, and it'll help out. I'm in this for the long haul. So, I mean, it's just as many subscribers as possible. I'm doing this for the next 15 years, probably, as long as YouTube exists. So we'll see what happens with that. But I hope you have a good night, and we'll talk to you more about football tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, Football Scientific. Close the Football Scientific portal.